Okay, so y'all, welcome to the call. I'm so excited you guys are here. I love seeing all your beautiful faces. Even Corey, yes, you are beautiful too, friend. But this is my friend Jennica. She is an emerald that I met at Jewel Training when we went October, November. I don't remember when it was, but it was leadership training. And I don't want to give too much of her story away, but y'all, this woman has 7 kids and she still made it to the top of this business. So I only have 4, and I know my head is spinning and my life is insane with 4. So you guys can probably imagine how 7 is, but that means that she really put blinders on. Like, you have to. She was driven and was focused and put blinders on, and just really poured into her people. So I'm really excited that you guys get to hear from her tonight, that I get to learn from her tonight too. So Jennica, thank you so much for joining us.
Kendall, thank you so much. I am so honored. I truly am. I was like, really? I would love to do this. I haven't done this in forever. Okay, so, all right. So I have to tell you something. I had all these notes written out, but I live out in the boonies. I'm an hour away from everything. And so I'm like, okay, well, I know my phone will work, but the whole like internet thing on a computer just does not work here. So let me see if I can remember. And Kendall, if you can help me along every once in a while, if you're like, oh, can you talk about this? That'd be great, because I feel like I'm missing everything. Okay, so hi, my name is Jennica Reis. I'm an Emerald Ambassador, and I have 7 children. And as I said, I live out in the boonies. My story is, see, I've actually been told before to not tell my entire story because it starts out with me not liking Plexus people at all. So I lived in Middle Tennessee where all the diamonds live, like all of them. And I moved from South Carolina to Tennessee, and we were all in the same ministry. And my first thought, because I've done Mary Kay, gosh, what all have I done? Mary Kay, Juice Plus, Beachbody. I mean, if you think of any health MLM, I've done it. And so I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, I'm not going to be your friend just because you can benefit from me. And that was my thought the entire time. You guys, I had no friends. I suffered with deep depression for 2 years because I wasn't willing to let anybody in. And so that was something that I really struggled with. And I only had 6 kids at the time, but you can imagine how that affected them as well. And so when I had a friend, again, in the same ministry, except she lived in California, when I saw her post about Plexus on Instagram, I was like, well, as long as she doesn't tell anybody else, then I'll try it. And so she joined on April 1st, and then I ordered under her, and she didn't even know it. And she had to have her sponsor call her and say, you just signed somebody up. And I'm like, just don't tell anybody. Please don't tell anybody. So for 3 months, I didn't tell anybody. I'm just giving you my personal backstory. Then I'm going to give my business backstory also. So on April 1st, my products actually arrived on the day that I found out that we were expecting number 7. So that was like a huge shock. Like, okay, well, I'm hoping, oh, and just so you know, I thought Plexus was just energy. That's all I knew. That's all I was like, oh, I'm going to get energy. So I was thinking it was like those spark drinks or something. And so I was like, oh, well, this will be good to have more energy and I can play with my family. I didn't think it was going to do what it did. And so I really have 2 testimonies. Mine is, obviously, I felt more energy. That was really cool. I started hiking with my entire family while I was pregnant, and I started swimming, and I don't swim. I'm not a swimmer, but I would swim. I think I ended up swimming 50 laps halfway through my pregnancy. I was hoping to get to 100 miles, and I got to 50 miles. But my biggest testimony is my daughter. And you guys, just so you know, I'm straight up real. I don't try to hide anything. My kids would say to a fault, like, Mom, no, we don't need to know that. But I'm like, well, listen, okay, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. And so I tell everybody, I'm like, listen, the Lord's going to expose it sometime. So you might as well hear about it now. And so my daughter, she was 5 or 6 years old at the time, and she had on her arms all this red itchiness, and it would turn yellow. It would scab over, and she would itch it all the time. Like, we'd put socks on her hands at night and tape them up. We'd go to the store, and people would look at us like, is she okay? And I'm like, I swear we don't abuse her. This is just a skin issue. And it was on her face, on her chest, behind her knees, her stomach, everywhere, you guys, everywhere. To the point where I even looked for photos of her back then. I didn't take a lot of photos of her because of how horrible it was. I didn't want proof of that. And I would take her places. They tested her. This is my favorite. They tested her for a peanut allergy by giving her peanut butter for like 3 hours. She's not allergic to peanut butter, not at all. And they kept testing her for all these different things. She's allergic to Bermuda grass. She has eczema. She has this. And they did what every parent wants. They want the skin addressed, but nobody ever thinks, and apparently these doctors didn't even consider that it's a gut issue. And so when I started getting energy, I was like, my sponsor is Bridget Ryan. And I was like, Bridget, do you know of anything that could help with the skin issue? And she was like, well, you can try our body cream. So I tried it. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I was like, oh, great. Another MLM that's going to disappoint me. Fantastic. And so I like pushed that to the side. I was upset, but I had energy. So that's good. Well, a couple months later, I decided to try her on ProBio. She was 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old. I want to say 6. And I didn't take before pictures. I wasn't even keeping track because I expected nothing, just like the body cream. I didn't expect to see anything. You guys, her skin is like a baby's butt now. She's perfect. Now, there are times during the holidays, there are times I can see her inner elbow and I'm like, you need to stop. Don't eat sugar. You need to go make sure you're taking your ProBio. And that's like the first question I ask her every morning. Did you take your ProBio? And so she'll stop everything and go do that. And we had 2 birthdays last week, and she knew she wasn't allowed to have cake, which is so sad, but she has gut issues. She's had them since she was born. And so that was huge for me. Okay, sorry, I go off on that because that is like my biggest testimony. I'm just so thankful that if ProBio was the only thing that Plexus sold, that's all I'd need. I don't need to hear about anything else. That is what I'm like, it helped my daughter. And it's crazy how many people I hear trying to help their children with their skin issues. Our last straw was when the doctor said she's going to need steroid cream the rest of her life. And at that point, that's when I was like, nope, I'm not accepting that. And I wasn't that crunchy. Okay, and here's where we're going to start getting into the business side. So a year after I joined, not even a year, probably like 10 months later, I was like, you know what? I really want to take classes because I'm loving this Plexus stuff. I love hearing the science behind it. I really want to get something out of this. So I went and I became a certified natural health professional, which I thought was so cool. I'm like, oh, this is so neat. Did it help me with my business? Not at all. So I say that because I had a lot of fun learning, but if you think you need to know everything to talk to people about the products, it's not true. It's not true. People want to see your passion. They want to see who you are and what you have to share, what you have to say. People trust you. I was shocked because when I finally, 3 months after I joined, when I finally put my first post out there, by the way, blocked all those Tennessee people. I didn't want them to see my first post because I would have been so embarrassed. When I first put it out there, I had 7 people join that week. Now here's where I'm going to blow your mind. I went Emerald exactly 1 year later with 21 level 1s. That's it. I had 2 runners, and it was just 2 people who were, I was so close to them, and they trusted me. And here is again where I'm going to blow your mind. Both of them, one in September of 2015, I told her, because I used to sit on her back porch with her making fun of the Plexus people in Tennessee, and I told her not to sign up under me. I was like, no, don't. Well, she ignored me, and she did. My other runner, 2 months later, she was my midwife also, and she was asking me about the products, but I wouldn't answer her. I wouldn't give her like all these details because I'm not a salesperson. I'm a very strong yellow personality, and I'm about relationships. And so I couldn't put the salesperson look on or anything, but she wouldn't stop digging. She wanted to know about these products because she was going through depression. And when she asked to join, I was like, oh, you know what? Your cousin signed up under me. Why don't you just sign up under her instead? You guys, okay, that's apparently my tip. If you want somebody to sign up under you, tell them not to, and they will run. So both strong reds, and they just went with it. And I was so thankful because, hold on, let me get some water. So remember, I had found out I was expecting number 7. So 9 months later, I had my baby. And I say this because it really was a benefit, because it really does take a lot of hard work to run this business. And I get that, but I had an advantage because I had a newborn who was nursing all the time. So I was stuck in my recliner nursing all the time. And I constantly would just run parties, answer questions, and I loved helping. Like, I got a question last week, finally, from somebody asking a question. I'm like, oh man, see, all my people know everything already. I want to answer questions. I want to help you. I want to be able to do that for you. So part of my advice to you now is to learn what you can. Don't think you have to know everything, because it's so much. I kid you not. Today, I had to ask somebody in my downline, do you have a graphic for how to upgrade to a wholesale? I mean, you just have to be real, and people are going to trust this. So one thing that I'm doing now, because I want you to know how real I am, is I have 7 kids. I was just talking to Kendall about this today. My refrigerator broke last week, and I went downstairs, and my freezer broke today, and I'm like, Lord, are you serious right now? And we're supposed to leave to a homeschool convention in a couple days. And I'm like, I'm losing my mind. And so I've been taking classes on how to do Instagram. I'm a photographer also, but you know, when you have 7 kids, you kind of back off of doing things like that. And so what I'm doing now, my husband, he works in the nonprofit world doing social media. And so he gives me all these ideas of what to do. And the thing that seriously took me an entire year to understand was he wanted me to make my own personal brand. And I'm like, I don't know who I am. I don't understand this. If you guys have not been, if you're not part of the Winning the Mind Wars, are you by any chance? Do you know, Kendall? Yes. Okay. The Winning the Mind Wars, if you're not part of it, get on it now. You have got to
share that with you. It's awesome. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It is like light bulb moment. It is huge. So that, and I'll say that in order to grow, readers are leaders. If you can read a book a week or a book a month, do whatever you can. I have to do Audible because, again, 7 kids. So if I can clean and change diapers and do all that while listening, then I do whatever I can to learn. And honestly, it's not always business books. It's spiritual books. It's anything that can grow you personally. Because at the end of the day, and this is what I learned from my 2 strong runners, is it's just relationships. You want people to trust you. So like when I was posting stuff, so my husband wanted me to make a personal brand, which I did, and it's called Restoring Moms, and that's what I use to put myself out there. I don't call it Jennica's Plexus or anything like that. I just call it Restoring Moms, and I can post about food, photography, scripture, health. I love talking about health, but I don't have to talk about it. Like, I have a friend who's a sign language interpreter, and it's like, well, then you talk about that, because I'm not going to attract sign language interpreters. That's not going to work, but you will. And so I attract large family moms. You homeschool, right, Kendall? Yeah. Okay. So, so I do things like that. Whereas somebody else who's like a fitness trainer, is going to attract other fitness minded people. So the biggest thing I've learned was when my husband was like, you have to be you, just post the things that you want to post. And I question him, I'm like, is this one okay? Is this post okay? Despite the fact I've been a blogger, when it comes to MLM, you all of a sudden you have to be like a blonde haired, skinny, perfect, kind of person. It's like, no, you have to be you. And that is what is most attractive, because people can tell when you're trying to be someone else. But when you're 100% you, people will see that. They're going to trust you. If they're like, oh man, I know that Kendall's been talking about this thing and we're having this issue, I'm just going to message her real quick and see what this is that she has. So I guess that's like my biggest thing, is the way that I'm kind of trying to stay active is personal relationships, is messaging people, talking with them one-on-one, meeting up with people. And again, for any yellow, I thought it was so funny because I'm like, this is like a yellow's dream. People are actually like paying to learn this. Like, you're telling me I'm going to get paid to be friends with people. Okay. Like, I can do that. So I guess that's my biggest advice really, is watch Winning the Mind Wars, listen to it. It's going to blow your mind, and let Kendall know that you're listening to it. And also be 100% you, unapologetically you. But also on top of that, make sure you're always as positive as you possibly can be. I hope that helps a little bit.
Yes, girl. Well, and I love your story because, so she says, where she said that she only had 21 level ones, that's because most jewels have a lot more than that. A lot of people build really wide. So the fact that she reached jewel status with 21 level ones, I mean, that just attests to how great you are at developing those relationships. You can pour into those people. And I mean, that's where it's at. We all know this is relationship marketing, and connecting with the people on your team and loving with the people on your team, loving on the people on your team. That's really where it's at. And then, not feeling like you have to know every single thing. You earn while you learn. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. And we all complement each other in that, So if your strength is loving on people, well, then do it fiercely. If your strength is a motivator, be a motivator. And like, I love what you talked about branding, because that does go hand in hand with that. With branding, it's about identifying where your strengths are and sharing. And so you pick those 4 or 5 things that you're good at, and that's your brand. And that's what you post around. Now, I say that. I may not be good at homeschooling, but I do it, so I post about it, but yeah, I love that. Can you kind of maybe speak a little bit to being busy in organization a little bit, like how you kind of structure your day? Because having 7 kids, I feel like those with kids and those with jobs, and just having chaos and not being able to 24/7 focus on this, like, how do you kind of work that out?
Okay. Also, my husband, as I said, works for a nonprofit. So, he works for Food for the Hungry. If you know of like Compassion or World Vision, same thing. He just came back from the Dominican Republic. He's about to go to Amsterdam. And then right when he comes back, he's turning around and going to Nicaragua. And so the worst part is every single time he travels, something breaks. Either a child breaks or something in the house breaks. And so when you talk about like scheduling and stuff like that, I used to be that person that would have the big list on the walls that would say, okay, from 9 to 9:30, we're doing this. 9:30 to 10, we're doing this. And, all that. And I'm like, okay, realistically, I can't do that anymore. And so what I do now is more of, okay, we're going to homeschool in the morning, and then we'll eat lunch, and then you can play. And then from 2 to 5, don't you dare talk to me. This is mama's time. This is when I'm doing my thing. And usually that just means I'm in a recliner. It's my favorite. That's like what I held my babies in. So it's like, if you hear me talk about recliner, that's like my favorite place. I'll be in my recliner. I'll have my phone and my laptop. And as I said, I was a photographer, and so I have all these photos. So I'll go and find one of my saved photos, and I'll write a post about it. And I'm getting into the Instagram thing now. And so you can save drafts in Instagram. I don't know if you know that. My daughter taught me that. Yeah, this is really cool. Okay, so I would go on, I'm doing this as if it's a keyboard, but obviously on your phone is Instagram. And I would get a picture. All you have to do is write one. Oh my gosh. Don't touch that. All right, hold on. All right. All I would write is one word, and then you go back. You back arrow and you back arrow again. And then it asks you if you want to save it as a draft, and you say yes. So you can have, I think, up to 10, maybe more drafts saved. So you need to like prepare 10 drafts so that you're going to have off days, so that when you go in there, you can be like, oh, I'll just post this one today. And then you either have it already written up, or you at least have your picture there so you can write something up real quick. So that was, and I highly advise you to have a teenager in your house, because they will teach you everything you need to know about social media, right? Okay. So that has been what I've been doing recently, because he's like in heavy travel season right now. And so when Kendall asked me about time management kind of things, that's been really tough. Like I've been really struggling with how to work my business while he's gone. And really it comes down to saying, hey, you guys, I don't care what you do for the next 3 hours, but you're not talking to me. I have to get this work done. And I'm sure I could pretend I'm more loving than that, but let's be real. That's not, I just need to get it done. But if you have the drafts, if you spend one day getting all those ready for 1 month, if you get 30 posts ready in one day, then it's all worth it.
So really,
go ahead.
So really it's prioritizing your time. It's identifying those windows when you know that you can work and choosing to intentionally work it, but then also, you know, preparing it. Because I know with Facebook, you can do that too with the auto scheduling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I like to spend one night a week and I'll go figure out what I'm going to be doing for the week, and I can set it all up. And that way it's not something, you know, so you're intentional about finding those windows to save yourself time later. So
absolutely. Now I have heard that possibly Hootsuite and things like that might be kind of iffy. If I hear any more about that, I'll let you know. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things like, oh, dang it, but it sounds so good. That could be so helpful. But anything you have to do, even if you write it up and you have something, oh, I can't remember. Oh, shoot, I'll have to let you guys know. There is a website that can, Planopoly, is that what it is? Something like that, that will let you know, hey, don't forget you have to post this right now. Yeah. And so that's really simple, rather than using something that Facebook's going to be like, we're not going to give you as high a status.
Yeah, I know algorithms have changed. So I try to save like Tiny Torch and all those for, you know, team pages or stuff like that. But another thing that y'all might consider doing is, if you think of something that you want to share on, like message it to yourself on Facebook. I do that quite a bit. If I have written something out, or we're doing a post of the day challenge, and so I knew what my goal was for my post today, so I went into Messenger and just started writing it out. I would edit it, and then I sent it to myself so that I knew I wanted to share it this evening, because I did action producing posts throughout the day, and so I already had it ready this evening when the time came to share it. So,
Josh, I've never heard of that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. Yeah, but I mean, being intentional, that's the thing. Life's crazy for all of us. And whether it's a full-time job, or it's lots of kids, or, you know, even if that's not the case, you know, like, you know, I know some of us do have the freedom to be home and the ability to spend more time on this. But no matter what's going on in your life, stuff's going to come up. Your mindset's going to shift. You're going to not feel like doing things. And it's about pushing through that, setting that intentional time when you know that you're going to do this, even if it's 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes at night. If that is all you have, if you are intentional with those, your action is going to drive you to be motivated, and it's going to drive you to want to do this more. So I love it, girl. Thank you so much for hopping on here.
You're welcome. I just want to say one thing. When I first started and they would say, reach out to 20 people, reach out, do this, I always thought it was, okay, I have to message somebody and be like, hey, have you heard about Plexus?
No.
I know. And then when I heard that, they were like, no, you just have to message them and say like, happy birthday, or ask them how, you know, how their day's going or something like that. I was like, what? That, are you serious? Again, a yellow that's like, are you really telling me I have to do that? Yes. But that is probably one of the biggest things I've learned in the past 3 years is that just be you.
And it's freeing, because when we say reach out to 5 or 10 people a day, like, we don't want you just spamming people about plexus. You know, if you haven't developed a relationship with somebody, they're not going to receive you reaching out to them about plexus the way somebody would if you do have that relationship with them. So, and like you said, I mean, and I'm a green yellow, so I love all the sciencey and the facts and details, but I'm also very yellow. And yes, like, I was talking with somebody today and she was asking about my job. I'm like, my job is just to love on people and encourage people and motivate people and help people. Like, that's an amazing
job for that.
Exactly. So yeah, it's a huge blessing.
You guys all do this. I promise you that. It is like the biggest shock, but it's the biggest blessing.
Mm-hmm. And it's really just putting your fears aside, putting your doubts aside. You know, Satan's going to whisper those things to you and tell you things that are not true about yourself. And if you let that lead the way, well, then it's going to be even harder to do this. So, you know, taking those thoughts captive and pushing them aside and replacing it with truth, and having those people in your life that you know are going to pour that positivity into you, because that's just as important. I have people who give me those like little checks every now and then when I'm being a negative Nancy, and you know, so it's really important. But, well, I have a big announcement to do for my team, which I said that only those who were on the call tonight got a little sneak peek of it. So I'm going to stop the recording tonight so that those who are watching the recording don't get it. They have to wait till tomorrow. So hang on real quick.